today I'm going to be able to share about Model United Nations. I am aware Mr. MUN has been able to do some series about Model United Nations, and I want to be able to take you on a journey about Model United Nations. Before I start my presentation, I want to give you an overview of how my Model United Nations journey started. It started during the time of lockdown, where I was the ambassador of African Rebirth to Uganda. That's when Enoch was able to share with me about the work African Rebirth is doing and how young people can be actively involved on the African continent. And one of the ways of civic participation influencing changes is by engaging with policymakers and the various stakeholders. One of the ways young people we can be engaged in the civic space is through writing resolutions, engaging and writing recommendations, being the voice for the young people across the continent. Under Model United Nations, it's a platform that you're able to take into a real life experience about how the United Nations works. With this journey, I started trainings with Enoch, who was always on ground to help me understanding what assimilation is, how to write a resolution, and more on how can I be able to speak. My journey started with African Rebirth. We had an East Africa Model United Nations where I was the best delegate from Uganda. Then I started participating in different international conferences, Africa International Model United Nations, MUN International Model United Nations, and different Model United Nations where I kept emerging as a best delegate. With this experience, I want to first of all appreciate and commend the great work Enoch is doing to ensure that young people at the front line are at the front line for being change makers in their communities. Before I start, I want to share with you a video where you're able to have a real life experience, a video to take you on a road on what I'm going to be able to present. And in here, I have been able to I'm organizing a minute. Can everyone hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So question number one, as the video is uploading, what is Model United Nations? An MUN, it's an educational activity that allows the young people to engage in diplomatic discussions on the real life experience of engaging with policymakers during any simulation at the UN, and this can be in form of the UN General Assembly and more. We understand that the UN component it's big. We have the different entities. We have the UNDP, all these different agencies, but together to make policies, they have to give recommendations, and this is given at the General Assembly. During the General Assembly, they do not only give speeches, but there is a format, how you're able to give your speech, and these are the skills that Model United Nations simulations are able to give to young people in order to understand. In today's training, we are going to cover the basics of MUN simulations and provide you with essential knowledge to participate effectively. What are the objectives of the different simulations of MUN simulations?
Hey, Doreen, I think people can see the slides.
Can they see the slides?
I think people can't see the slides, Doreen.
Okay. Okay, I've seen a notification. My screen sharing has been paused. Let me work on that.
Sorry, I can see the slides, but it's just on the first page.
Yes, yeah.
Let me work on that. Is everyone able to see them?
Yes, for me, I can see all the slides.
Perfect.
I can see them.
Okay. Okay. Are you able to see the second slide on introduction to modern integration simulations?
Yes, we can, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
Oh, perfect.
As soon as you are navigating, you will be able to see. Thank you.
Okay. Let me share the video. I wanted everyone to be able to understand.
Join us this 57th August at KDU Glenmurray. For more details, go to selengermun.org. So what is MUN anyway? Model United Nations, or MUN for short, is a simulation of the real-life UN, United Nations. You take the place of a delegate of a country or an international
There is no sound.
There is no sound. Let me work on that.
Yes.
Doreen, there is no sound. So what you can do, just ignore it. You can send the video I will share with the people. You can just concentrate on the presentation.
Thank you, Enoch. Let me just do that.
Yeah.
I hope everybody's now able to see my screen.
Yes.
On the apologies on that. Let me just do the final sharing of my screen. So on the different MUN simulations, we are able to see different young people being at the front line. In my first speech, young people advocating for instances. During the MUN, before the session starts, we are divided into different countries. You are given a country where you are not a citizen of. For example, I am a Ugandan. I may be given a country to represent, which can be Congo or Rwanda for that instance. When you are grouped as a country, your first role is to, first of all, understand your country's position because you are representing your country. If you are given a country, an example of Rwanda that I was able to use, it means you're going to represent Rwanda's actions, present and past actions during the simulations. The MUN, it has different objectives. And one of the is to develop diplomacy and negotiation skills of the delegates. You are representing your country at the floor of the General Assembly. And furthermore, you're negotiating on behalf of your country's policies and past actions. Furthermore, during the simulations, it will give you the opportunity to enhance your public speaking and debating abilities. The third objective is to improve critical thinking and problem solving. At the MUN, you are able to think out of the box because another delegate is able to ask you questions about your country's plans. And furthermore, if a problem is solved, during the MUN, you are given a problem and you have to solve it as the president, as the diplomat of your country. So you have to understand, how am I able to maneuver about the different issues that are happening on the floor, but not compromising my country's policy. US, we understand it's a superpower. And in here, you have different, every country, if you're among the top five, the big five, you have veto powers, where your country's instance is not put for questioning. So every country have to understand, among which powers does your country have in negotiation to pull it off. This can enhance your problem solving. The other objective is to promote understanding of global issues and international relations. During the MUN, you are able to not only research about your country's policies, but also different countries' policies, because this will enable you know, when am I being a sponsor of a resolution and when am I being a signatory of a resolution. In understanding global issues, you are put in a position to negotiate on behalf of your country, but furthermore lobby for your country during the simulation. The other objective is to foster teamwork and collaboration. MUN is not a one-man, one-country journey, but it is collaboration, teamwork, lobbying, engaging with different countries in order to see that your resolution or your policies and recommendations are put at the front line. I wish to follow up whether everybody is able to hear me and if you can see my slides.
Yes, we can see your slides.
Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. So what are the terminologies of Model United Nations? We hear about delegates, resolutions, position papers. What are all those terms? And in this slide, I'm going to be able to present to you what are the different terminologies and explain them to you. One, who is the delegate? This is a student who is participating and acting on behalf of their assigned country. As a delegate, you have a role to present your country's instances during the simulations, representing the past and present actions of the country you are assigned to. Second, what is a caucus? You will hear during the sessions, we are now moving in for a moderated and unmoderated caucus. So caucus is a debate where delegates can formally and informally discuss on topics. There are two caucuses in Model United Nations. One is the unmoderated caucus and the moderated caucus, respectively. During the moderated caucus, it is a formal debate where you have to follow the Model United Nations rules and a procedure. But in an unmoderated caucus, the chair is not present and it's an informal discussion amongst the delegates. During the moderated caucus, it's where we're going to hear about motions being passed, the chair heading the session, and also following the different rules of procedure and more. But the unmoderated caucus, this is a time for you to lobby with the different countries, understanding the different countries' positions, but most importantly, this is the time to start writing your resolution, which will be presented at the end during the session. The other terminology is a motion. During the MUN, you will hear some delegates raising their hand, and they're asking to pass a motion to maybe move the House to a moderated or unmoderated caucus. When the delegate asks to move the House to a moderated caucus, that's when the chair will say, okay, how many delegates are voting for the motion and how many are against the motion. When the delegate who was able to raise the motion puts it on the floor, you as the delegate, you have the opportunity to either vote or to not. At the start of the MUN, you'll be assigned, and this shall be during roll call, where you shall be asked, are you voting or you will abstain? When you say you are voting yes, it means you have to vote on all the motions that are put at the floor of Parliament of the MUN. But when you abstain, it means you're not going to vote on any motion, and furthermore, you will be silent. However, some countries have powers that when they decide not to vote on a motion, they will not vote, the motion will not pass. And these are the powers of countries like United States of America, Russia, China, because they are the veto powers. Those are the powers that you have to understand as your country. In most simulations, how to be able to overcome and to win an MUN is to know when to use your powers. US holds much power, and during the unmoderated caucus, it's the time for you to liaise with the US to always vote on your motions, because if US does abstain or votes no, or Russia, all these countries abstain, it means your motion will not pass. So all this comes back to the unmoderated caucus, where you're able to liaise and lobby with these countries. Furthermore, during a motion, when a delegate raises a motion, it's accepted, he or she can raise a motion for example, to set the flow of the MUN. For example, if it's about climate action, the topic, our MUN is going to be about climate change. I can raise a motion to the chair requesting that we are able to deliberate about climate financing among slow developed countries. So when the delegate raises this motion, you're able to vote on it. The other terminology is a chair. So the chair is the moderator of the debates in the committee. The chair basically leads the flow of how the MUN is going to be able to flow across the time range amongst all the delegates. Then, what is a placard? A placard is the country's name tag, which is used to signal the chair. During MUN, you do not speak as Niger. I cannot speak as Niger, but I speak as Uganda, the delegate of Uganda. That's why Enoch was able to ask everyone to name their countries. So the chair cannot recognize you. You are not a person during the MUN. You are a country. If you name your during the MUN, your placard says your name, you cannot deliberate on motions. You're supposed to represent your country. And that's where the placard, during physical MUN, you will have placards which you'll be able to raise. But in an online session, you raise your hand, then they are able to say the delegate from Uganda, the delegate from Rwanda, and in here you just use renaming your names, but physical MUN is only able to get placards. Then the other terminology is a speakers list. At the beginning of the MUN, we are able to have the general speakers list. So the speakers list is the order in which delegates are able to speak during the MUN. The chair will ask, the delegate will ask to be added to the speakers list. In case you are not added, you raise your hand or your placard in a physical MUN to ask the chair to be added to the speakers list. There is a general speakers list and the speakers list. The general speakers list is at the beginning of the MUN, where the chair is able to guide the House that is all delegates who wish to be added to the general speakers list, please add your name. During the general speakers list, how it differs from the speakers list before is, at the start, as a country, you have a position. That's why before the MUN, you're supposed to write a position paper. What is your country's policy on climate change? During the 3 minutes of presentation or 1 minute on the speakers list, you're given more time to speak. Unlike in the general speakers list, you're given more time to speak, unlike in the speakers list. All delegates have to give their country's stances during the general speakers list, and the general speakers list is supposed to guide who is going to speak first and who is going to speak next. Speakers lists, when are they generated? When a delegate raises a motion to speak about climate financing for low developed countries, the chair will ask all delegates who wish to be added on the speakers list, kindly raise your hand. So the speakers list will give you a time range of 30 seconds or 50 seconds, or maybe 1 minute to speak about that specific topic during the speakers list. And your submission has to be in line with the motion, unlike in the general speakers list, where you have to speak about your position paper, what is your country's stance, your general country stance, unlike in the speakers list. The other terminology we are able to see is the preambulatory clauses. So we are going to be able to speak about preambulatory clauses down below in my other presentation. And then we also have operative clauses that describe the steps that will be taken to create the solution. So preambulatory clauses, operative clauses, these shall come in when we are going to draft resolutions, which shall be presented in the MUN. The MUN, you start with public speaking, but at the end of the day, you have to give a resolution. What do you want all the different countries to adopt? What action do you want the General Assembly to adopt in the resolution? Then we are going to talk about what is the structure of MUN simulations. One, we have committees. In committees, participants are assigned to specific committees representing the different UN bodies. UN is a broad body, but under it, it has different bodies. We have the UN Security Council, we have the Economic and Social Council, General Assembly, and more. Most for the starters, when you're starting the MUN, you first be brought to the committee of the General Assembly, then the Security Council. All procedures go differently. Today, I'm going to be sharing about the General Assembly. Maybe in our future discussions, we shall be able to see how the Security Council, how do we go about it? But for today, my presentation is going to be about the General Assembly. Then two, we have delegations. In a physical MUN, you will find you are 2 or 3 people representing one country. All the same can happen in an online simulation where you are 2 or more people that are representing your country. So this becomes your country's delegation, and you are 2 people but are working towards the same shared goal and which you attain to achieve. As a delegation, you have to research about your country's policies. You have to search about your country's past actions. And furthermore, what has your country taken? What steps has your country taken on the theme that is being presented during the MUN? Furthermore, we also have resolutions. Resolutions are outcomes of MUN simulations, which is drafting and passing of resolutions. Drafting of resolutions, it is done during the session, during the unmoderated caucuses, where you are able to lobby with different countries to understand and see how can you come together to draft your resolution. While drafting a resolution, the outcome, you have to understand which country, which bloc, or maybe what's your country's interest with the different countries. For example, Russia and let me use China and USA, they cannot be part of the same resolution. They cannot write the same resolution because they all have different interests. Does your country ally to the west or to the east? You have to understand that while drafting the resolution, because this is the main outcome. So furthermore, the resolution is a written document which contains your block solutions to that topic. The topic about climate, what is your country's instance solution? What actions do you want the international scene to take up on the challenges that are affecting you? Furthermore, a resolution is a one long sentence with 3 parts. We have the header. So now I'm coming to the part of, after doing your simulations, the public speaking, the lobbying and more, we are now coming to finalize the body of an MUN, which is resolution writing. It is 1 page. A resolution supposed to be a one pager. It's a 1 pager document where it is divided into 3 parts, where we have the header, the preambulatory clauses, and the operative clauses. This is the general outlook of a resolution. Is everyone able to see my screen? I'm sharing the resolution now.
Yes, yes, I can see.
Where my cursor is, you're seeing something about resolution GA 31.0. Resolution, this shows that this represents that this is the header, my header for the resolution. GA represents General Assembly, and these are the numbers which are signed by the chair according to each General Assembly sitting. You may find that this is maybe the 3rd seat of the General Assembly, and it's the chair who is able to give you the numbers on how you're able to number your resolution. This is the header, General Assembly, Third Committee. The sponsors, you are seeing the United States, Austria, and Italy. What does the word sponsor mean? Sponsors, these are the countries that have written the resolution. And in here, we are able to see the United States, Austria, and Italy. And signatories are the countries that are supporting the resolution. This is the general outlook of a resolution, which I have been able to share with you. But I'm going to delve into a further discussion about a resolution in my next slides. So we have said the resolution is about, it's a 3-pager. It's subdivided into the header, the preambulatory clause, and operative clauses. The header is able to show us, is able to give us a look on the committee. A minute. The header is able to give us about the committee, which I've been able to show you, the General Assembly. And we are able to have maybe a topic, it's about climate change, and the sponsors, the countries that helped write and support the resolution. Then we have the signatories, countries who want to see the resolution passed. How many countries are willing to support your resolution? And all this comes back to what were you able to do? What were your actions? How were you able to during the unmoderated caucus? The basics of a resolution, what I can be able to brief about the different questions is who writes, who is a sponsor, and what is a resolution, when and where are resolutions written, why are resolutions written during the MUN, who writes the resolution. Any delegate in the committee can be able to write a resolution, and any delegate in the committee is able to write a resolution. So the sponsors are the countries that are writing the resolutions, where we have the United States, Austria, and Italy in the sample resolution I was able to write. And the signatories are the countries who want to support to see that this resolution passes at the General Assembly. A sponsor cannot be a sponsor for another resolution. That's where there is a difference between being a sponsor and a signatory. A signatory, you can support 2 resolutions, but you cannot sponsor 2 resolutions. There is a difference on that. So here, United States cannot sponsor a different resolution, but Greece can sponsor this resolution and also sponsor another country's resolution. However, you have to understand your country's resolutions. What do they support? For example, here China cannot, for example, in case it's an issue about, let me use maybe climate or maybe nuclear power, most times you're going to find that your country's policies do not support the resolution you want to pass. That means you cannot go and be a signatory on a different resolution, but you rather stick to one. At the end, a country your resolution may not be passed because a delegate who knows how the MUN works and the powers China has and US has can decide to raise a point to the floor, to the chair, that this position paper, this resolution cannot pass because China's interest and US interest in this position paper are not the same. So you have to be keen and careful about that. Furthermore, when and where are resolutions written? They are written mostly during the unmoderated caucus, which is the informal session during the MUN. Then furthermore, why should we write the resolutions? these are supposed to be the drafted solutions that have to be given out to the community. So I'm going to explain about the header, committee. So in here, the header contains 4 pieces of information. Let me use this draft. The committee name. So in here, we're seeing the General Assembly Third Committee, which name is rather represented here by number 3. And in here, we have the sponsors, which countries we have been able to see. We have been able to see the signatories, which countries here we have: Greece, Tajikistan, Japan, China, Mali, Netherlands, and Gabon. And then also the topic. The topic on the draft resolution I've been able to share, it was strengthening UN coordination of humanitarian assistance in complex emergencies. The topics refer according to each simulation. The committee name that you're able to maybe name yourself, they are self-explanatory. Since I was able to share with you, we have the General Assembly Security Council. So these are able to refer to differ. The sponsors, these are the defenders: United States, Austria, and Italy. The are the ones who are going to defend this resolution when it is presented at the end of the simulation. They are the authors, and the signatories, you are like cheerleaders that you're supporting this. Then we go to preambulatory clauses. What are preambulatory clauses? The preambulatory clauses state all the issues that the committee wants to resolve on the issue. It may state reasons why the committee is working on this issue and highlight previous international actions on the issue. The preambulatory clauses may include past UN, they may include past UN actions on the issue that you are able to say. This is the sample. Is everybody able to see the sample of the preambulatory clauses on my screen?
We can see, ma'am.
Thank you. So during the preambulatory clauses, you're able to see the past UN resolutions, treaties, or conventions related to that topic. Second, you're able to see the past regional, non-government, or national efforts in resolving this topic. Furthermore, you are able to see references to the UN Charter or other international frameworks and laws. In addition, you're able to see statements made by the Secretary General or a relevant UN body or agency, and general background information or facts about the topic, its significance, its impact. According to a different topic, you will find that there is no international treaty that has been made about that topic, but there are statements that were made by the General Assembly on a particular topic, and you will come in to reaffirm these statements in your preambulatory clauses. It is very simple to write preambulatory clauses. First, you have to understand what shall be at the starting point of your preambulatory on your body. First, take a statement that you want to write about, perhaps an issue you want to solve or a specific fact from one of the 5 bullets, from one of the issues as a country, as the sponsors that you have decided to write about. You can then take that statement. For example, you want to remind the different countries about past international actions. As authors and signatories, you make this statement. It's a general layman's language statement. You write it openly, and then you're able to now come in to break it down. How can you now phrase this statement to become a preambulatory? Then you take that statement, combine it with a preambulatory phrase, and end it with a comma. You're able to see a comma at the end of my statement. But as I'm talking about preambulatory clauses, you may ask yourself, what's a preambulatory clause? So these are the different examples of preambulatory clauses. Where you're able to give, you have your general statement. For example, climate action is affecting the world, and we as young people, we have to be at the front line for change. But this is a statement anyone can make. How can you make it and draft it in line on how it can be able to become a resolution? You make that statement. At the beginning, you're able to come and affirm. These are the preambulatory clauses that you're supposed to start with. Affirming, expecting, they are found online. You can go on Google during your sessions and you're able to see what the examples of the preambulatory clauses. So you use them as the start of your statement. You can start with affirming. You can affirm the different previous actions, or maybe the statements that were made by the Secretary General during the statement, or maybe alarmed by the actions of this country. Approving, you can decide to approve maybe what treaty you are able to sign, you have taken, your country, your different countries have taken as a UN body, they have been able to take, aware of maybe this treaty, this UN previous action, fully believing in maybe in integration. So these are the different preambulatory statement. For example, if my country wants to address the issue on HIV, on the issue of how HIV/AIDS has spread rapidly in Southern Africa, I would choose a preambulatory phrase from the above, where I would start with alarmed. And then I would combine it with alarmed by my research. Before the MUN, you have been able to do your research. Alarmed by 17% increase in HIV or AIDS contraction among sub-Saharan countries in the past 5 years. This is your preambulatory statement that you've been able to make, but at the end, you're able to end it with a comma. You're able to end it with a comma. All preambulatory clauses, this body, you end them with commas. And I can share my strategy tip about preambulatory clauses. You will, in your resolution, you would want fewer preambulatory clauses than operative clauses. Preambulatory clauses, you are reaffirming, bringing back the history, but operative clauses are solutions. You don't want to go you don't go at the General Assembly and you're bringing more problems than solutions. Policy, okay, you have the problem about climate change. What is the solution? What do you want the international body to talk about? That's the operative clauses. Preambulatory, you're giving them the history before coming in to bring what solutions you want to be able to convey. And my slides are able to explain a lot or more on that. So we are now moving from preambulatory clauses and we are going to move into operative clauses. Operative clauses are the solutions as a delegation, as sponsors, as signatories, you want the international space to take onto. Operative clauses address the issues specifically mentioned in the preambulatory clauses above it. So preambulatory clauses, you're going to state the problem, you're going to remind the international community on different actions and why this problem has to take priority. And the operative clauses, you're going to bring up solutions. The operative, let me just move to my next slide. So this is a sample of an operative clause. It is very simple to write an operative clause. First, take a solution that you want to include in the draft resolution. What solution?
Good evening, Doreen. Sorry.
Yes, please.
Sorry for interjecting. I just quickly wanted to find out. It's more of a point of information. The session is being recorded, right? I just quickly wanted to know if it would be posted online, as this is very imperative for some of us delegates to go through again and just make sure that we picked up each and every little detail. I've been trying to locate the other sessions we had that were being recorded as well, and I couldn't locate them on YouTube, or maybe if they were posted elsewhere, we were not told. Hence my reason for asking. Sorry again for interjecting. Thank you. So submit.
Oh, thank you so much. The session is being recorded, and I think the recording shall be shared with you all. Thank you. I can proceed with my presentation. First, as a group, during the unmoderated caucus, you take the solution you want to include in the draft resolution. You then take that solution, combine it with an operative phrase. The operative phrases are the ones that are underlined. Examples are encourages, urges, requests, calls, stresses. It's like your start. If you are a lion and you're speaking amongst animals, you have to be assertive. Encourages, urges, what is your call to action? And these are the operative phrases that you're able to give up. The other difference, what differentiates operative and preambulatory clauses is the structure. One, operative clauses are numbered. This helps. Why are they numbered? This helps to show logical progression in the resolution and makes the operative clauses easy to refer to in speeches and comments. That's why they are numbered. You see number 1, number 2. For example, in one of the samples that I've been able to share with you, my first operative clause is encourages all relevant agencies of the United Nations to collaborate more closely with countries at grassroots levels to enhance the carrying out of relief efforts. Another difference between operative clauses and the preambulatory clauses is here we use semicolons to separate them, while in the preambulatory clauses we used commas. So you have to also take keen notice of this. If the other author of another resolution is able to notice that you're not able to follow the requirements of drafting the preambulatory or the operative clauses, your resolution will not be passed. So you have to take keen attention on this. What is a strategy tip in writing the operative clause? Usually, more details than operative clause will make it stronger, or at least make the idea more clear to other delegates. A simple way to strengthen each operative clause is to answer the who. When you answer doing your operative clause, answer the questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how of each resolution. These details can easily be broken down into sub-operative clauses underneath the main operative clause. You will have 1.1, but furthermore have 1.11, where you're able, in case it's not able to reflect all these together, the who answer all these questions, your operative clause won't be strong. So this is a strategy tip that you are able to use during your simulation. In here, I'm going to share with you a sample of operative phrases. Operative phrases are the statements that you have been able to underline here, which you have to start with in the solution. One, we can decide to use operative phrases like accepts, affirms, approves, authorizes, according to your country and how you want to draft your resolution. Furthermore, while writing your operative clauses, you have to underline all the operative phrases. In here, you're able to see that we're able to underline encourages, urges, requests, because you're able to show the committee about the different rules of procedure. Before I move to on operative clauses is going to be our last statement. After sharing all these tips, I want to go back to our resolution, and this is the general outlook. I've been able to break down the 3 parts of the resolution, from the header, preambulatory clauses, till the operative clauses. And we have been able to understand all of them. But now I want to take, for you to see the general outlook of the resolution from the header. How are you going to start your preambulatory clauses? The topic, you have to pay keen attention to how you are able to state them in your resolution. The moment you start your topic, you've said your topic, then here you're able to state which body are you like. In case it's a Security Council, instead of the General Assembly, we start by the Security Council, but in here we have used the General Assembly. Then you start your preambulatory clauses. At the end, remember, you're going to use the commas. After you have stated them, we want fewer of them, few preambulatory clauses stating the problem. Then you're going to be able to move to the operative clauses, where you are going to give the solutions. And in here, we are using the semicolons. And furthermore, we are using the operative phrases, which are underlined. And in here, you're able to give your call to action. As a country, what do you want? As a country, what do you want? Then at the end, you're able to give your requests. You're able to give your requests, your solutions, your encouragements, and more. Then you end it with a full stop. Before, you have been using semicolons, but the last statement is end it with a full stop. So it's like one broad statement. We are using commas and semicolons. I hope everybody is able to get that on the resolution before we move away from that. I think since we are going to be able to get the recording, I can now move to the next. So what are the rules and procedure in an MUN? What's the procedure and the rules in an MUN? I had forgotten to talk about presenting your resolution. At the end, after you have laid down and written down your resolution, the chair will guide the House to share with them the resolution so that they can later on share it with the entire delegation. In the session at the end, when you're presenting your resolution, the chair will ask the sponsors, the authors of the resolution, to present the resolution during the MUN. In here, the authors will come and read their resolution out loud to all the delegates, that are attending the MUN. And they can, after reading it out, the chair will ask the delegations in the House, in case anyone has any question they wish to ask the sponsors will then be able to answer the questions. Furthermore, some of the delegations who are non-signatories will maybe wish to seek amendments to the resolution. And in here, the delegates will raise their hands or their placards and ask or seek a motion to amend your resolution. In case your resolution does not follow the rules of procedure, in case your resolution is not following the rules on preambatory and preambatory clauses, the headers, your resolution can be striked out. It is default. Therefore, as a country, as a delegation, as sponsors, your resolution cannot pass. When during amendment of the resolution, there may be a little challenge, or maybe a country thinks they could amend and add a solution better. So after an amendment has been done, the approved draft resolutions, they are modified. An amendment is a written statement where delegates, they add, they delete or change an operative clause in a draft resolution. The reason of amendment is to strengthen consensus on a resolution by allowing the delegates to change operative clauses. However, the preambatory clauses cannot be modified. In an MUN, there are two types of amendments. We have a friendly amendment and an unfriendly amendment. A friendly amendment is a change to the draft resolution that all sponsors agree with. After the amendment is signed by all of the draft resolution sponsors and approved by the committee chair, it will be automatically incorporated into the resolution. You will find, for example, US, I'm using an example of US, dominating the writing of a resolution and does not share with the other sponsors of the resolution on what has been able to make. Or maybe where US, maybe it has agreed, okay, we as sponsors of this resolution, we want to amend. In the session as maybe US is reading out, I realize as UK, I'm like, okay, I think we can actually do better about our operative clauses. We can change it. So all the sponsors are agreeing that we want to change the draft resolution, and all sponsors are agreeing to that. However, then the second one is the unfriendly amendment. This is where some of the draft resolution sponsors do not support and must be voted upon by the committee. Where you find that some delegates, some sponsors are not agreeing with the resolution, even though they helped in the drafting of the resolution, they can decide that we want to change all of the draft, like we want to change the resolution, and this can be by voting. The unfriendly amendment also refers to delegates who did not write this resolution at all, but see potential in it as long as several changes are made to it. This can be China saying South Africa's resolution has to be amended, and they raise a point asking and moving the chair that the amendment be made, and this can be through voting at the floor. And the only tips that I can be able to give is to, first of all, keep writing. Practice makes perfect. Just keep trying to see to it. And furthermore, during the sessions, make sure that you're able to understand your powers, that you can decide to vote or vote against a resolution. You can decide to vote for amendment or vote against amendment according to the powers that you are given, especially USA, China, Russia. What are the rules and procedure during an MUN. One, the simulations follow specific rules and procedures to ensure organized and efficient discussions. This is through speaking, orders, points, motion, voting. And how can you raise a point of order? For example, when there are different points that are raised during MUN. And this can be a point of order in case you're seeing the one delegate is going off the flow. You can raise a point of information where a delegate is giving incorrect information, but you know the country's stance on that topic. You're able to raise a point of information. This is where your research comes in. How are you able to stand out as a best delegate is by knowing the different rules of procedure in MUN. Tips: in case you're a delegate of Rwanda and you understand there are different countries, research about those countries' policies, such that when that delegate of Rwanda is speaking, you as the delegate from Kenya, you are informed about that country's policy and you're able to raise points of information to correct them, or in case you see them going off track and they're submitting wrong statistics, you're able to raise points of information. But while raising your points of information, you have to be backed up with information. Your points of information have to be evidence backed up. Wrong statistics, provide right statistics on that. Also, there are motions, also voting. Then the dress code about an MUN. The dress code is formal. The dress code can be to represent your country. In a physical MUN, you will see some delegates being kicked out of the session due to improper dress code. During an MUN, shouting, there are colors of an MUN. Blue, red is not allowed in the session, such colors. So when a delegate presents himself in an unprofessional way, they are asked to make the sessions a bit fun during the MUN. You find cantankerous delegates who know the rules of procedure, and you're kicked out for having pins in an MUN. But this is just to make the session fun. In case you find someone's dress code is not enticing and does not follow the rules of procedure, you're able to raise a point of order, because it's not in order for a delegate to present himself, maybe made up, you have makeup on. Simple makeup is allowed, but you're going to find a delegate when they're unprofessionally dressed up. So the dress code matters and you can be kicked out. You have to take in interest. A country can use this to ensure that you're kicked out of the session and they get more points to themselves. Another one, thoroughly research your assigned country or organization stance on relevant issues, background checks, because if you do not do background checks, a country will do background checks on you and they'll raise more points of information. And I wouldn't want to see anyone going off track in that session. You're presenting, this is what your country represents. However, one of your presidents 20 years back was able to make a statement. So how are you able to make sure you liaise with the past and the history to inform your presentation in an MUN? Prepare your speech, position papers, and possible positions. Your speech has to be in time. If they've given you 1 minute, make sure you use the 1 minute sparingly, and you're able to present your country's solution in that way. How can you effectively participate in MUN simulations? First, be knowledgeable in your instance. Have knowledge not only about your country, but also the different countries. Understand the different countries' history, policies, culture. Familiarize yourself with the agenda and the relevant global issues. If a country is not presenting itself or projecting the future, you can raise a point of inquiry and you ask a country inquiring about their country's stance about artificial intelligence. So this is able to give you an understanding of global issues and you're able to stand out in an MUN. Furthermore, how can you be actively engaged in MUN? Engage in debates, negotiations, and caucuses. During the unmoderated caucus, it's your time to engage with different countries, raise points of information, questions, and contribute constructively. Don't just raise your hand because you want to be heard. Be strategic in your questions, in your points of it. The more points of information you raise, the more points you're able to get as a country, because at the end of the day, it's about you as a country winning the sessions. Work on your public speaking skills, clearly articulate your country's position, use persuasive language and effective communications techniques, be direct to the point, but assertive. My tips for successful MUN simulations: 1, collaboration and diplomacy. And this is by build alliances. During the unmoderated caucuses, get different countries to support you. Negotiate on behalf of your country. How do you negotiate? This is during the resolution writing, where you get different countries to support you. Give different countries reasons to support your draft, your resolution at the floor. Furthermore, cooperate with other delegates to achieve common goals. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, but to achieve the 1,000 miles, you have to work together. You wouldn't want to get other delegates fighting you, because that's a no-go zone area. Different blocks can decide to raise and gun against you. So cooperate with other delegates in order to achieve your common goal. Respectful conduct during an MUN is also one that another procedure or something you have to take in attention for during the MUN. Treat all participants with respect and professionalism, or else you may find yourself chased out of the session. While raising your points of information, be professional. Treat another country, respect their sovereignty in submission. Furthermore, listen attentively to others' opinions and ideas. If you listen attentively, you are able to raise points of information. You are able to raise points of order in all your participation. Then, furthermore, be flexible and adaptable. Be open to different perspectives and adapt your strategies accordingly. Be in a position where you're able to react to unexpected developments and adjust your approach. Your country's policy, or how you phrased your speech, you hope to phrase it in one way or the other, but a point of information is raised. That means you have to adjust your speech. You have to think out of the box, think directly. Furthermore, in your simulation, what are the different sources for MUN simulations? 1 is of official UN sources, and this can include the UN website. This is www.un.org for reports, resolutions, and speeches. You are able to use these speeches, these reports, these resolutions in your draft resolution. Furthermore, UN databases for statistics and research, they are also good. Another one I wanted to share about position papers. These are required for some conferences to outline your country or organization stance. In the award at the end of the MUN, there are different awards that are given. The best resolution that is written. So you may find yourself winning that. You have to ensure that you're able to give position paper, give your country's search on that, make sure that you're able to analyze all that information. Then how can you also ensure that you are able to work on your MUN journey? Join different MUN clubs to practice and improve your skills. There are so many MUN clubs. African Rebirth is one, has an MUN club, but Africa International Model engage in different MUN clubs, participate in different MUN conferences. In this way, able to experience real-time simulations. Due to financial constraints on some participants, there are different free MUN conferences that you can participate online. In case you're in a position to fund and finance your travels, you can participate in a physical MUN in your country. My last slide is that why join and maybe be part of an MUN club. This is because they provide a unique platform to learn and develop critical and crucial skills in debating, negotiation, and more. By practicing actively, you're able to engage diplomatically, able to gain understanding of global issues, you're able to network, gaining friends across the continent. You participate in one MUN where you have made friends from Algeria one day or once a lifetime opportunity. You are in Nigeria, Algeria, and you meet the same people you met during the sessions. One day you are appointed to a diplomatic position. You are able to have friends in all corners. Now it's time to put your knowledge into practice, and good luck with your MUN journey. That was my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, dear Doreen. Appreciate Doreen. That was quite a lot of information that is so helpful for, you know, like everything we've been doing, you guys have been, it's just to refresh and get back to the MUN. And I think Doreen will help share the slide so you guys can take a look. So bravo, Doreen, thank you very much. And the whole delegates, tomorrow is our last day. So the reason why I invited Doreen to give her best presentation about MUN, because I know that she has been the best speaker of MUN delegate. So it's just to give you a more hint or a more opportunity to practice. And second, tomorrow we expect you to be the very best. So like I told you, tomorrow is our last day. So it's your chance to shine. How you're gonna shine is practicing these things. So you have from now and all the meetings you've been doing, at least you have knowledge now to shine for sure. So what you're gonna do is prepare for tomorrow. A topic will be given right now, and the topic is easy. I can even give it right now, so you guys can take note of it. So as really a problem to Africa mostly. You know, those guys manufacture stuff, and unfortunately, the young people or the people don't even participate. They're the one who who suffer more. So 81 million people in the Horn of Africa are in extreme hunger. And how you define hunger is people, like a third of the population, don't get enough food. So it's very alarming. And the drought in the Horn of Africa is extreme. I think you guys who are from East, you know, everyone is from here, Southern Africa. But if you follow news very well, you had like the long drought, unusual drought in Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, where cows, goats, or small animals died because of lack of water and pasture. Even people die. So you find a guy is going to herd an animal, but he dies with an animal. So it's a very serious issue. So the urgent need, and we shall use General Assembly as our committee. So the topic will be about the urgent need to address climate crisis in Africa. You'll be signed countries, which tonight you have countries. So tomorrow, get prepared. So we'll practice the whole everything. So like Doreen has been telling you, you dress well, you be prepared, you have real research, present your country and everything. So the urgent need to address climate change. And I think Patience has put the topic in the chat. The urgent need to address climate crisis in Africa. You know, that's the topic. And we'll also give it in the group. So prepare. Don't mind it. So we'll pay. You guys, the countries nobody will create another set of countries right now, tonight. You must know your country you're going to represent, and we expect a vibrant participation tomorrow. Doreen, tomorrow will be our last day, so we would like to invite you again if you have time. We'd like to invite you again to be our chair and see whether these guys are put practice. We'll be putting practice what you shared and trained. All right. So thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. I want to see the best delegates of the tournament. All right. Bye-bye. So if you have been learning and practicing and everything,